Greetings, Guardians. This is Olympus Alliance. When people talk about the nature faction, names like Mushy, Alvanor or even Byrna usually dominate the conversation. Mojo is often left in the shadows, seen simply as another nature mage. But after spending time testing him, and understanding how every part of his kit connects together, it's easy to realize that Mojo is much more than that. He's a mage, a healer, a support hero, and under the right circumstances, one of the most frustrating heroes your opponents can face. The interesting thing about Mojo is that his entire kit revolves around one mechanic, Spirit's Wrath. The more charges he builds throughout the fight, the stronger almost every part of his kit becomes. That means Mojo isn't a hero designed to explode at the start of a battle. He's a hero that continuously grows stronger as the fight progresses, rewarding players who understand how to keep him alive and constantly healing his allies. Let's start with his first ability, Cursed Bones. On the surface it looks fairly simple. Mojo launches a cursed projectile at a random enemy, dealing magic damage and stunning the target. But there's another interaction hidden inside the skill that many players completely overlook. Whenever an enemy steals or burns energy from one of Mojo's allies, that same enemy immediately becomes a priority target for Cursed Bones. Not only will they be hit by the projectile, but they'll also receive additional damage based on the number of Spirit's Wrath charges Mojo has accumulated. That's a brilliant piece of design because Mojo naturally punishes heroes that rely on disrupting your team's energy generation. At the same time, the stun removes their momentum, preventing them from moving, attacking or casting abilities while your team continues building pressure. And this immediately leads us to the mechanic that drives his entire kit. Spirit's Wrath. Mojo gains these charges whenever he uses Spirits of Healing and completely restores the health of an ally. This is where his nature synergy really begins to shine because nature heroes receive an incredible 20% bonus energy, while heroes from other factions only receive half of that amount. It's another example of how Hero Wars encourages faction identity. Mojo isn't simply healing. He's accelerating his allies, helping them reach their ultimates faster while simultaneously increasing his own power through additional Spirit's Wrath charges. That's why I always say Mojo isn't just a mage. He's also a support and a healer, provided you build around the strengths of his kit instead of expecting him to behave like a traditional damage dealer. Once enough charges begin stacking, his ultimate becomes increasingly dangerous. Mojo summons his Voodoo Totem, which attacks the two nearest enemies with magical projectiles over several seconds. Now, there is a weakness here. If Mojo is interrupted by a control effect while channeling, the ultimate immediately stops. He also cannot move or attack during the animation, making positioning extremely important. But there's another side to this ability. The more Spirit's Wrath charges Mojo has accumulated, the longer the totem remains active. Suddenly, every successful heal isn't just keeping your team alive. It's also extending Mojo's ultimate, and increasing his overall damage throughout the battle. The longer the fight continues, the more dangerous Mojo becomes. And then, we arrive at the ability that, in my opinion, defines him as a hero. Hex. Every 2 seconds, Mojo identifies the enemy that has received the most damage during that period and applies the mark of corruption. From that moment on, every time that target takes damage, the hex immediately deals additional damage equal to 80% of everything the target received during those previous 2 seconds. Think about what that means. If your team focuses one enemy and lands an enormous burst of damage, Hex almost repeats the punishment. Against heroes with weaker defensive attributes, this becomes incredibly difficult to survive because the heavier your burst, the harder Hex retaliates. It's one of the reasons Mojo fits so naturally inside aggressive magic compositions capable of focusing a single target. But it doesn't stop there. If Hex kills an enemy, Mojo instantly gains 3 additional Spirit's Wrath charges, dramatically increasing the effectiveness of his remaining abilities. And even if Mojo himself dies, Hex doesn't disappear. The curse remains active, continuing to deal damage to the marked enemy. That's what makes it feel like a win-win situation. Whether Mojo survives or not, his curse continues influencing the battle. Now let's talk about the heroes that truly unlock his potential. Naturally, Mushy and Shroom immediately comes to mind. Every heal Mojo provides allows Mushy to grow stronger even faster while continuously feeding Spirit's Wrath at the same time. The synergy feels incredibly natural because both heroes benefit from longer battles where sustained healing becomes more valuable. Another fantastic partner is Byrna. Since both heroes provide additional energy and sustain to the team, they create an engine where allies begin reaching their ultimates much faster than expected. More energy means more abilities, and more abilities usually mean more pressure throughout the fight. Then we have Alvanor, and honestly, I think this is one of Mojo's best partners. Alvanor's incredible defensive support allows Mojo to remain on the battlefield longer, giving him the time he needs to accumulate Spirit's Wrath charges. At the same time, Alvanor perfectly complements the nature faction, reinforcing exactly what Mojo was designed to do instead of forcing him into a role he was never meant to play. Another hero that impressed us during testing was Nebula. Her incredible offensive support dramatically increases the damage potential of the ally she's empowering, and when that extra damage is focused onto a single target, Mojo's Hex becomes even more threatening. The heavier the burst, the more value Hex extracts from every attack. Finally, I want to mention Soleil, because this interaction is incredibly interesting. Mojo usually occupies the center-back position in most team compositions, and Soleil's Mark of the Ancient God reflects damage received by the protected central ally back to the enemy team. Suddenly, opponents find themselves taking damage not only from Mojo's Hex and Totem, but also from Soleil's reflected punishment. The two heroes don't simply protect each other. They create a battlefield where every aggressive action taken by your opponent comes with a price. That's really what makes Mojo such an enjoyable hero to play. He isn't about overwhelming your opponents in the first 10 seconds. He's about building momentum, healing, supporting, growing stronger, punishing energy manipulation, extending his ultimate, doubling heavy burst damage through Hex, and slowly turning longer battles into his greatest advantage. He's one of those heroes that becomes significantly better the more you understand how every ability connects to the next one. So if you've never given Mojo a proper chance, maybe it's time to take another look. You might be surprised by just how much this legendary nature shaman can contribute when surrounded by the right allies. Now I'd love to hear your thoughts, Guardians. Have you been using Mojo recently? Have you discovered another powerful synergy that deserves attention? Leave it down in the comments because some of the best ideas we've ever tested came directly from this incredible community. Until next time, stay tuned. Stay sharp. Salute and friendship.